When I first started, I was in high school and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So my dad saw that I was into music and he suggested that I take a course, a summer course. So I ended up taking it and I started making beats. And basically I ran into, or got discovered, I guess, by Alima Dean. She's the sister of D and Y, who are the CEOs of Ruff Ryders. I was like 17 at the time. She thought I had potential, so she kind of took me under her wing and started taking me around Ruff Ryders studios and stuff. One of the first beats that I did, the song was called Fireman. They got placed for Drag On. It was a good sample. It was a Temptation sample, so it kind of carried it, you know. And the funny thing is, shortly after that, I had she got me an internship at the Ruff Ryders recording studio. So I had it was like I had a beat placed and I was an intern at the same time. It was like real awkward, but like, so they'd be like, oh, are you a producer or an intern? I'm like, I guess both, you know, like I'm just still trying to make my way. I was writing at the time. I was really into writing and rhyming and everything, but it was like so quick. It was almost like, okay, well, this must be meant to be. Well, the ill thing about working with Ruff Ryders for so long was that I was able to be around such high standards and quality, especially of production. Like, you know, instead of just being in my room making a crazy beat and being like, you know, bringing it to my friend's crib and being like, oh, this is crazy, and he's like, yeah, this is crazy, you know. It's like I'm making a beat and Scott Storch is sending a beat or Pharrell is sending a beat, and you're comparing to these people now, so you're like, all right, my shit's crazy, but it ain't that crazy, you know. You're like, okay, I'm gonna step it up. I was kind of like an in-house producer over there for like 3 or 4 years. My first joint was for Drag On. I was working with him a lot. And then Jin, when Jin first got signed there, I did a bunch of stuff with him. Then I started like kind of moving up the pecking order. I started working with the Locks, you know what I mean? Like I did joints for Jadakiss and Styles, and then I did a joint for DMX featuring Bizarre Royale, who was his artist on Bloodline. When I met Bizarre, once we clicked, he went out on tour with DMX. Like this is probably like 2006, a little later on. But then he invited me along for the tour, so I just kind of, that whole summer, I was out on the road with him and X. I was at a DMX session, it was at Sony. I started talking about Timberland. And I'm like, yeah, you know, Timberland's my favorite. And little I know, sitting right there was one of his artists at the time. His name was Sincere. I started asking him all kind of questions. I'm like, yo, how does he give you, you know, when he gives you a beat, what does he tell you? What's the process? Like, does it sound the same or he changes it? Like, I was asking all kind of questions. So after a while, he was just like, oh, like, he was like, you want to just go meet him? Like, ask him yourself? And I was just like, what? I was like, hell yeah. So we basically just left on the spot, left the session I was at, went to meet him, and he took me right in, and like, it was like surreal. Like, I was probably like 18 or 19 at the time. So when I walked in, I was just like starstruck, like couldn't believe it. And I had some beats, and I played them for him. And I still remember this day, his reaction, he was loving them. So I spent the whole night at the studio. He played me the whole Bubba Sparxxx album, his second album, played me the whole shit. The funny thing was, after all this time, when we left, I realized, I was like, I didn't get his contact information because I was so starstruck and so caught up. It was like, it never amounted to shit, so I learned my lesson real quick. You gotta be on point and getting that business shit right, because I never got back. But like I said before, hopefully one day when I see him now that I'm on the come up, he'll remember me, and you know, it'll be a cool story at least. The Groundwork, that's a mixtape I just released. It's an instrumental mixtape for the most part. Everything's produced by me. I wanted to make it so that the average listener who wasn't just wanting to hear beats, or a rapper who wanted to rap on beats, could listen to it from beginning to end and not get bored. I pretty much redid the beats, you know what I mean? I took the basics of them, I remixed them, I made more switch ups, I changed the samples. Really what it represents is just like all the work I've done up to this point, like the last, I don't know, 8 years or so. I mean, my favorite shit is probably the intro, because it's not new, but I revamped it so much, and it was featuring Mary Ben-Ari, the violin player who works with Kanye a lot and shit. Like, I was always a huge fan of hers. Then there's a couple bonus joints at the end of the songs, like Playground by J. Cole, which was recorded while we were doing the warm-up at my crib, actually, like before the deal and everything, way before. So, and then I got a joint with me and Omen that was actually on Omen's mixtape too, and Omen was featured on the J. Cole mixtape. He's part of our circle and everything, and got me doing a verse, my little introduction shit. So as an artist,
so now we on top. It's sorta like karma, less drama, more karma, less armor. cause I spit it like a charmer. Obama, plus the folder song, I'm the savior, John Con.
Heartache, of course, is like one of my favorite beats I ever did. The process of making Heartache, basically I was in a store shopping for something, and like in a department store. I had this thing on my phone, I'm sure everybody knows about it, it's called Shazam. If a song's playing, you can push it and you put it up to speaker and it recognizes what song is playing. The artist's name was Mary Love, and the song was called Born to Live in Heartache, and the reason why he named it Heartache is because of that. I named the beat Heartache, and the song has nothing to do with Heartache at all. I just chopped up the sample, and I did some rough drums, totally different than the drums you hear now. Jermaine was working on the warm-up at this time, and I sent it to him, and I was like, you know, like, what do you think? He's like, yo, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really done with it, whatever. He's like, nah, this shit's crazy, you're done, whatever, you know. I'm like, nah, like, I could do better, you know. I know I could do more. So I went in, I changed the kick sound, changed the kick pattern, changed the sequencing a little bit, just started messing with it more, and then I added a bass line. And the bass line is like the major part of the beat, so if you can imagine the beat that the bass line is totally different, you know? It was ill because it was one of the few times when I really felt like, okay, like the artist took the potential of it and really matched it. Like, what I love about working with J. Cole is when he does something, I'm always like blown. I'm not just happy, I'm like blown away. Like, wow, this is incredible, you know?
So you hating niggas refrain from that. A little bit of cause your game is whack, I let a leak breathe.
As a producer, your job is to make something for someone else, you know? So inherently, when you go in, if you're thinking, okay, I'm making a beat for Jadakiss, I'm like, all right, would he like this? Every decision I'm making, there's a lot of decisions that goes into making a beat, from the snare sound to the pattern to the sample you choose to the way you chop it. Every decision is, well, Jadakiss like this? So there's a lot of guessing going on, you know? And it causes for a lot of uncertainty, I feel like. Because if you're wrong, then the beat is a failure. So you're like, what, you know, he didn't like it. But what I had to learn was you have to make it based on what you like, and if somebody else likes it, that's a bonus. You know what I mean? You have to look at it that way. I'm still developing my sound because I don't know how I would describe it, but I guess just epic, like big, like high energy, high impact. Like I'm working on another mixtape myself as an artist. Omen's got his mixtape coming real soon. It's called Afraid of Heights. It's going to be incredible. My next project is going to show people what I can do as an artist, as a producer, everything.